Now, that is not the most impressive shore hit I've ever had, but it definitely is something I'm going to miss in Battlefield 1. What's going on, guys? Boomersoon here, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to start a new series which I plan to run up until the launch of Battlefield 1, and the series is simply titled Battlefield 1 in Detail. I'll talk about all the things that have been involved in the game, how things are changing from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1, and how things might change afterwards, or even during the game. So for today's episode and to start this series, I'm going to be talking about anti-tank weaponry and what we can expect to see in Battlefield 1. Now obviously it's very well known that we didn't have RPGs, Carl Gustavs or Shores in World War 1. That is not very hard to figure out at all. But there definitely were some forms of anti-tank weaponry, and seeing as tanks are such a heavy part of Battlefield, and they are definitely a part of Battlefield 1, and much different as I've ever seen before in a Battlefield game, it's something that I really wanted to talk about and actually really enjoyed researching. Now obviously back in World War 1 we didn't have advanced weapons like the Javelin, SMAW or Law, and even less advanced ones like the RPG. But there definitely were forms of taking out a tank with some kind of projectile. Now the most well-known one is the Mauser T-Gewehr, the T standing for tank of course, and it was made in 1918 and was actually in service from 1918 to 36. Now this thing is almost 5.5 feet long, and is 41 pounds with a bipod. That is extremely long and extremely heavy. Now over 15,000 of these were made near the end of the war, and it did come into service at 1918, as I said. Now the thing with that is it's right at the end of the war when Germany is pretty much already lost and eventually will pull out in absolutely no time at all. So it didn't actually see too much use or involvement, but was surprisingly effective and did have quite an impact on some of the British tanks. Now despite firing the equivalent to a modern day 50 caliber round, it doesn't have any scope mount, meaning that it was very much designed to be sat in a trench and suddenly a tank's come along, hey let's hit it as many rounds as we can, rather than there's a tank all the way down there, let's hit it with a scope. It wasn't designed to be a mega long range rifle. If it'll stay that way in Battlefield 1, hopefully. I want to see it have a huge drop off in terms of it suddenly starts to dip, but I don't want to see it be a long range equivalent to a standard bolt action rifle that has a bigger round and does more damage. Now like I said, these things were effective, but the problem is you can only load one round at a time, and obviously it's going to make a lot of noise. As soon as you shoot one, people are looking in your direction and they're going to know exactly where you are. So one of the things the Germans tried to make it more effective was making a reverse bullet. Now when I read this about the reverse bullet, I sort of thought, nah, that's a joke. Apparently it isn't. The Germans actually took the bullet out of the cartridge and put it with the sharp end facing towards the back. So the blunt end of the bullet would actually hit the tank, and you're probably thinking, well hang on, what's that going to do? What it would do is it would hit the tank, cause a dent, and hopefully then fragments of metal would go through, or wouldn't go through, but they would dent the tank, and fragments of metal would come off and hurt the crew inside. Not really destroying the tank, but killing the crew and making it somewhat immobile. This apparently was somewhat effective, but had several consequences with the fact that, of course, because you now have the flat end of the bullet travelling, that means it's going to drop a lot quicker and be a lot less inaccurate and steady because of wind resistance. So the bullet didn't actually hit as many times as the standard one would, but arguably would be more effective because one bullet placed at a good spot could cause a lot of damage and actually hurt the crew inside. I doubt we'll see the same effect in Battlefield 1, where if somebody shoots this bullet at you, if it's even in the game, I think it might be. I kind of want to see it in there just to have two different varieties of anti-tank rifles. But if it's in the game, it could possibly do damage to the crew inside and leave the tank perfectly intact. It depends how well that will be balanced in game though, because that could have some side effects. So maybe it just does more damage to the tank, but has some side effects like it doesn't travel as fast, or possibly does less damage to infantry, or maybe even has a shorter drop off. Now, one of the other forms of anti-tank weaponry in World War I was a multiple stick grenade. Now, this involved getting one stick grenade and then sticking 6 other grenades around it, making a much larger explosion that is obviously harder to throw, but will probably cause more damage to a tank, again, either removing the tracks or causing a dent, which then sends fragments through, killing the crew. This is pretty much confirmed that we'll see it in game, because several soldiers in the trailer, when they get hit by a shovel or something, you can see it on their back. So it's pretty much definite it'll be in there. If it's accessible to all troops, or if it's just accessible to certain troops, maybe the engineer class can only get it, and that's their new form of RPG possibly. We'll have to wait and see about that. Nobody really knows at this point, except the developers, of course. But we definitely know it's in the game. It just depends how much it's used and how effective it really is. Now, the final idea is a rifle grenade. They were around in World War 1, primarily used by the French, but it's quite possible that the engineer will have access to a rifle grenade, maybe just a rifle with a grenade attached to it, that he can pull out, and that's his new form of RPG. The engineer will have access to the SMGs in the game, so maybe the rifle grenade will be the new form of RPG. Now, to finish the video, we definitely know that C4 is in the game, or at least some kind of explosive similar to that, and possibly we'll see artillery. Now, this could be a form of taking out a tank, where an artillery is just sat on the side somewhere, you can walk up to it, access it, and shoot one at a tank. A bit like the TOW, except obviously less accurate, with more of a punch, and more designed to take out tanks directly. So now hopefully you guys will enjoy this new series, and if you have any ideas for a video for me to do, go and tell me down in the comments below. More on the way. Eventually this series will be weekly, but currently I can't do that. It might be close to weekly, but definitely won't be a solid week after week video series. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. My name is Monsoon, out.